thank you for coming, and thank you that I can do this in English. This is it's good. So as Carlos said, I think it's I think we are ELIX is a more mature organization because I think we are 45 years, let's say, whatever history. This was a Bayer company, so founded by Bayer in Tarragona, in the Tarragona site in the chemical park. So it means I think it was related to Bayer for 35 years. I know you will see this. And after several, let's say, ownership changes, let's say we changed several times the owners because I think nobody wants this type of business because it was not very attractive. The chemical industry that we make, resins, was not really attractive, margin-wise not attractive, not sexy, let's say, for an IPO or whatever. So it means at the end of the day, it was sold to several owners. At the end, we was, let's say, heritage by private equity. This is a different rule. I think it's. I think if you have a little bit more experience now on the, let's say, with your work, let's say, on venture capital, private equity is a different rule in the market. They set different rules, different speed, different decision processes, and let's say another way of thinking. But one important thing is, I think this is perhaps different to other private equity owners. Sun Capital, which is our owner, which is based in Florida, US, believes that only high-performing cultures can make high-performance results. This is the difference. You can make a lot of things. You can work on cost. You can work on whatever. The point is, I think they strong believe that high-performance culture will deliver the results, even if it takes a little bit longer. So because I think you need some time, let's say, to do this, and I will show you a little bit, let's say, how we do this, how we measure this, because I think it's important for a private equity, but also for me. I live with data. I think I'm a data guy, so I want to measure. I want to know where we are today, and where we want to be in 3 years or in 5 years. So I have to measure this, even this is tangible or intangible. So in some cases it's intangible, but you have to find a way to measure this. And I will show you how we do this. Others do this in a different way, but I think there's methods that you can measure this in a very effective way. And for us it's important. I think we compare us with portfolio companies that they have. They have 70 or 80 portfolio companies, and we can, across all the different industries, all this, we can compare. We can say, okay, this is a measure independently if it's chemicals, pharmaceuticals, building bridges, whatever, it doesn't matter. You can say, okay, this is a high performance culture or it's not a high performance culture. You can see it, very similar. It's very simple. So this is, let's say, how I want to show you this. And I have to say, I think our project is, on one hand, you will see very successful. What we made, very successful. Management by Mission was the right decision to make, and was very successful. And we have a part which was very disappointing. And this is also we have to discuss, because I think there is also a disappointing part for me personally that we have to show. And I think you should be aware, if you go this road and you have implemented this, I think that this is for us was, let's say, some of the disappointing points I want to share with you also, because you have to be aware, let's say, of the obstacles that we have if you make such a project. Yeah. And I think she knows. I think it's to what I will do. So I think let's have a look. Yeah, I think this is what it is. I think it's. By the way, I think it's what we are doing. I think we're making everything what we are selling are this what you see there on top of this. These are small plastic particles. That means I think pellets. We're creating ABS pellets. The most famous application that we have is Lego bricks. So everybody has a Lego brick. If you come home to your kids, pick it up and say, I met the guy who produced the resin for this. Yeah, so I think we are delivering, let's say, ABS for Lego bricks. Perhaps it's our product, perhaps it's a competition product, but the product that we produce is exactly this. Yeah, so I think everybody has it at home, so that means I think you know what ABS is. Yeah, so I think this is what it is.
Which the feedstock?
The feedstock is A, B, and S, acrylonitrile, butadiene, styrene. So I think we are let's say whatever. We are also customers of crackers, of refineries. Okay. So I think we are in Tarragona site, we are on the chemical park. That means I think we get our feedstock from Repsol, for example, part of this in Tarragona. Yeah, so I think it's one of the biggest, it's the biggest chemical park in Spain. It's the fourth biggest in Europe. So I think if you are there or you have passed the motorway on left and right side, you see a lot of pipes and tubes. This is the chemical park of Tarragona. You see not a lot, a little bit. So, but this is, let's say, how the chemical park looks like in all the world. So I think this is where we are located. it shows what, let's say, what we incorporate. I think it's lean principles, because I think this is the most efficient way to do this. I think it's world record is 1.8 seconds, something like this. So I think this is, let's say, how it works, but it only works, everybody has the same goal, and you have a lot of engagement. If you look at Ferroristas, they live the brand. And this is what you need. I think you need not only, let's say, the alignment of strategy, you need also, let's say, this is what we want to create, let's say, these engagement. And this is the most difficult one. Strategy alignment is a process which is, let's say, easy to make. To be honest, I think you have to communicate this in the right way. You have to hit it. It's tangible. You can, let's say, whatever, measure it. You can do this. The most probable one is the most complicated one is the way, let's say, whatever, to find emotional engagement of your unit. Yeah. So I think we have 250 people in our site. That means I think we want to have half of this is blue colors, more or less. That means I think if you want to have engagement, you have to make some efforts. And this is, let's say, this is the problem that we have. Speed is just a consequence. I think what you have to do is, I think it's, if you look on this video, very short, you see, I think it's, they have the same goal, they're very committed, and they make 1.8 seconds, and they made it every time. I think it's like this, they can repeat this, they can, you wake them up, they do this. And this is, let's say, this is internalized. They can do this, and this is, let's say, what we need, let's say, also for our organizations. This is what they have to do. They have to understand what is the goals and what we can do. For me, I think it's this is the book I read, let's say, last week. I think it's Simon Sinek. I think it's on the why, which is I think for me one of the important things is that people understand why they're doing this. I think this is, let's say, if they understand, I think we worked a lot on what they have to do, and we have to say, okay, you have to change it because this and that. This is right, and I think he's totally right. Saying if people, if they understand what they have to do, they work harder. This is right, but they work smarter really if they know why. And I think this is the important thing for me. I think it's this has the next level. This has the next level, let's say, from engagement, and I think this is, let's say, a very important point for us. Let's say that we want to establish. As we said, in ELIX, I think we tried, let's say, to combine strategy alignment and engagement, and I think this is, let's say, for us, let's say, whatever the key objective of this journey with management by missions. Why we have to do this, I explained a little bit. Let's say, I think these are the three owners we had, let's say, since 1975. All big chemical companies, Bayer, Lanxess, Ineos, now one of the major chemical companies. In 2012, something changed because Ineos made a joint venture with BASF for this particular part of the products. And at the end, the European Commission said the European market share for this remaining business is too high. So you have to separate, let's say, a business line or a plant or whatever. They decided to separate a plant. So what they decided was, we had 5 plants at that moment in Europe. So they decided Tarragona, because there was, let's say, it was an isolated plant in Spain. So they said, okay, this is isolated, we take this. We go through a process called a remedy process. I think we we carved out the business out of a corporate organization. So we're coming from 40 years corporate. I think it's a different way of thinking, we have to say, totally different. We go to a Sun Capital, a US-based private equity. You can imagine the shock of the people was, let's say, high.
Ineos is from France? Ineos is from France?
No, UK.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the headquarters is in UK. By the way, I think it's last week comes out Mr. Radcliffe, who is a private owner, is the richest guy in UK. Forbes list UK. He's richer than the Queen. So it's a 40 billion euro company now. So it's a huge company. So I think we are ended up at Sun Capital, private investment fund. They said, okay, we take this, we pay a lousy price for this because nobody wants it. Because if you have nothing, we had no customer, we had no sales, we had no finance, we had nothing. We had only manufacturing. A very strong manufacturing site, 40 years expertise in making pellets, colored pellets, which is good. What we have to do is we have to find the USP for this, and we have to establish an organization, and we have to run it, and we need, let's say, and this all in a time frame, let's say, whatever that works, which is really a complicated thing. We started, let's say, 2-3 years trying, let's say, to channelize all this, And then let's say whatever in 2016 we start with management by mission. Let's say whatever I come to this. I will not show this video. I think it's what we have here is, I think this is, let's say, the step that we have done since summer. At ELIX with management by mission. I think it's what was one of the key findings is exactly the first point is I think I explained to my management team, I think 3 years, always the same story. This is what we have to do. This is, let's say, this is our USP. This is, let's say, how we want to sell. And if Nuno with his team come in and we made a workshop, and we said, okay, now we want to understand if everybody on the senior team understand your objectives, right? Explain. And you will be astonished what comes out. I think everybody has a slightly different view on this. A department related, a little bit squeezed or twinkled, whatever. So I think it's okay. I said, listen, I talked to you 3 years ago, every time the same story. And now everybody has a slightly different understanding. What is my objective? Difficult, eh? So what we said, I think we go through this. So we have made workshops with all the people again, with senior team, said, okay, we have to think about what is our business model, what is our objectives, what is the common objectives. And this is, let's say, we have redefined the business model because I think we have to say, okay, what we have to adjust, because I think this is now after 3 years, you have to say, okay, this works well, this not works well. So I think this is, let's say, the way we want to continue. So it was a very helpful tool at the end. We defined the mission, which was great. I think we have defined the mission. I think and with this, and we are strong on this, to be honest. I think we have, let's say, developed strategic projects, 5 or 6, not more than this, because I think you cannot, on this level, top level of companies, I think you cannot control more than 5 or 6 strategic projects. I think it's nearly impossible to run it in the same way, in the same intents. I think what we have, and then we have a set of scoreboards. So what we have, a lot of KPIs that we work on daily, weekly, monthly. Very hard measurements against targets, against deviations, and action against deviations. So a very rough, let's say, construct of, let's say, KPI scoreboards and management of the projects. What we then made, I think it's after we have seen all this, we presented this. I have presented this to the whole company. Whole company is good. I think at the end we achieved what? Penetration of 100. 50%. Exactly. So at the end, I think I presented to 50% of the people. So we made town halls to different times or whatever, and 50% of the people participate. So first disappointment. So I think it's in Spanish. I spent, let's say, hours, let's say, to make half an hour or whatever. I think it's. Yeah, it was my speech was an hour or whatever. So an hour speech, let's say in Spanish, let's say with videos, with a lot of explanations, whatever. We made a lot of things. We had a tent. We have invited. We made catering. We made, let's say, everything. At the end, 50% come in. So okay. So this is, let's say, this is what it is. So I think we have made this. So from a company perspective, then we said, okay, every department has to make a submission. This is how it works. So every department developed this. This was great because I think there was a lot of enthusiasm in the departments. Some of them are very keen, let's say, to do it. All the departments worked well. So we made a good with all the projects with KPI scoreboards again, one level down for their own departments, which are related to the top line goals. And then we made, let's say, presentations. And I think this was great because I think we had theater, we had videos. I think we achieved a little bit more people, I think, at the end. Perhaps it was 65% of the people come to these events. We made events in our taller, had their big video screen. We had, let's say, a theater there, that operations make a play there for 15 or 20 minutes. So I think it was a very good presentation of the departments of their submissions. So everybody understand now, let's say, a little bit better what they are doing, why they are doing this. So this was good. Finally, I think we have implemented this, running this, and we have, let's say, whatever it was this year. I think yes, this year. Values. We made values this year, yeah? Beginning of this year. So we made another workshop on values because I think we have to, let's say, based on this, let's say we create now, let's say, different values that we have. Perhaps not totally different to that what we had in the past, but I think it's minimum, let's say, give the opportunity, whatever, to discuss and to organize themselves and say, okay, what key values we want to have for ELIX. So I think we defined 3 values. And this is where we are today. So it means I think this takes us 2 years So I think we are now in May. What we have to do is, I think we have not implemented company-wide the values. So what we have to do is, I think we need to campaign, let's say, whatever, how to create values, let's say, whatever, to make it visible and how it works. How you transmit values is intangible sometimes. It's very intangible, so you have to find a way, let's say, to attract these people to say, okay, these are the values of ELIX. And it's difficult, let's say, because I think it's very intangible, and if people not follow, you have to engage them, let's say, in a certain way. And what we are missing, and this I will show you later on, I think it's the engagement of the shop floor level of our blue collar is poor because of the ownership changes that we have and the loss of buyer. People started with the intention to go to buyer and retire with buyer. So the first 10 years ago, the first big disappointment that they had was buyer don't like you. They don't love you anymore. They want to have. They feel that you are obsolete. This was a huge crisis for everybody there. And then, let's say, everybody new owner said, okay, you are not, let's say, core business for us. That means I think they are not loved. The unloved child again and again. So at LANXESS take it 2 years and say we don't like you. We have to sell you. Ineos said, I think we want to be bigger. You are, let's say, whatever, obsolete, because in the big party you cannot participate because I think you have to be outside. So at the end, you have a lack of identity. This is what it is. Perhaps people say, if you ask the shop floor people, say where you're working, perhaps he will say by buyer. Can happen. We have changed all. We have changed the clothes, whatever, because there were people still in the site who had buyer. They have the old shirts. Using the old shirt, you say, come on, you cannot use the very, very old shirt. But there was still some time of our ownership where they still have buyer shirts. So they forgot LANXESS, they forgot Ineos. Even this was not in their mind. They're going back to the original. This is my home. This is where I feel comfortable. And this is a problem. So I think this is, let's say, we brand new shirts with our colors. I think people don't like it. I don't know. I think we tried, let's say, to get the best technical equipment that we can have, but I think they still don't like it. I think they want to have the buyer logo there. So this is what they don't get anymore. So this is a problem. The engagement is the missing problem. We made a lot of communications. I think this is, let's say, Nolia is responsible for this. I think we have made, for a chemical company, we made unusual things. I think we are in social media. I think we have newsletters for our families members. I think they get a letter to say, okay, this is what we are doing, so that you understand. So also at home, so here, this is what we are doing. We're doing something for Lego, we're doing something for BSH, for BMW or whatever, so that you understand this is what we are doing. We made a lot on videos. I think we have a lot of videos in the net. So YouTube, I think we have a lot of videos. ELIX, our people at ELIX, so that means I think you see by department, they present themselves, say what is important for them. I think to introduce, let's say, that they get familiar with, this is ELIX, this is the mission that we have, and this is, let's say, the entity that you should represent, and this is, let's say, the values that you should represent, which is a difficult one. This is what we have to say, and I think you can have a look on this. So I think we made a lot of these things. Works well, but at the end you will see the penetration of the shop floor doesn't run, because what we have to say, these are not the right tools to arrive shop floor level. This is what we have to learn. My learning of this is they have no access to email, they have no access to computers if they're not being home. So that means I think it's how they can see it, how they're connecting with you. They're not connecting during the daily work. All my administrative people, and you will see this, are very committed. Why? Because they can do this in their daily work. They can have a look, see, they get an email, they get a link, they open the link, get a 2 minutes video and see, hey, this is great. I look, this is, let's say, this is Anna, this is Maria, this is Juan. Great. They say this and that. Perfect. I like it. Shop for people have no access and have, let's say, whatever, perhaps if they are home, we have a 5-shift system. So perhaps they're home, they don't think about ELIX. They are tired, they want to be with the family, they have to do some entertainment or I don't know what, but they're not thinking on this. So we have to find a way, let's say, whatever, to arrive. This is what we not get, and we have to say this is good, let's say, for half of the people, but not good for the rest. This is what we have learned unfortunately. It's good for the market. I think it has also to do something with USP that we have developed. So it's very, very well received from our customers and our clients, our suppliers. I think they're looking on this and they say, pretty innovative, whatever. Let's say we make a lot of customer surveys, NPS. So I think it's these type of measurements. People love this, but not my people. This is the point. So I think if we do it for our people. I show you this. I think it's very smart. I think this is a 220 million company. We have 250 people. If you look on the, we are serving 43 countries on a global side. I think we are selling ABS. If you look on the EBITDA CAGR, which is the average growth rate of this, I think we are growing 50% in average on profitability. Saying strategy alignment worked 100%. So I think we have focused people to doing this what we want. So I think I have to say this is 120% fulfillment. These people know exactly, and you will see this in the measurements. You will see the people know what we want for the tangible stuff. Yeah. So I think and if we do this, I think this, let's say, our vision going forward. I think it's what we want to do is I think we want to grow, let's say, with a slightly lower CAGR. Because this is it can be very difficult, let's say, working with 50%. Nobody can do this, let's say, over a long period. In EBITDA, we have to say. So this is really profitability here. We're working, let's say, we are forecasting now, a little bit lower levels. I think 10% is huge for the chemical industry. This is what we have to say. But I think if you want to do this, strategy is not good enough. You need the people, you need engagement. And I think I will show you how this works. We make it by Denison. We measure by Denison. Denison is the method. It's nothing. It asks questions, and the methodology below this, behind this, is what I think it's what I say: low performing culture, creating low return on equity. This is what it is. At the end, this is let's say how they see it. And high performing cultures have a high return on equity. That means performing better or performing less. This is, let's say, how it works. You can do this, let's say, with these four criteria: mission, consistency, involvement, adaptability. What you do, you make a questionnaire with your people. You give them an online questionnaire or papers. If you want to do this in papers, you give it to them. You give it whatever 3 weeks, and you ask them, how many questions we ask? 70?
No less.
60?
Because, yes, no less.
60?
52 plus the open one.
Yeah. Okay. So 50. Let's say we asked 50 questions. So I think you can score from 1 to 5. I think.
Yes.
So saying I think I agree or disagree. Sometimes you reverse, let's say, the questions, so they are doubled because you want to understand that people not only clicking, let's say, always down this road. So you reverse it so that you get, let's say, a cross check on if they really mean what they have put on the points. But this is, let's say, this is for me. I like to measure things, and I like to, because if I can measure, I can, let's say, can make corrective actions. This is the only how it works. So I think also for intangible stuff. And as you see this, so this is a methodology that we use. There are Spanish companies, let's say, whatever, to support you. I think if you want to do this in Spain, I think you can make this survey. Important is, I think you have to repeat this, because you want to, you do this, you make some measures, you make some campaigns, whatever, and after a year or 2 years, you have to repeat it, because then you have to say, okay, we made now this. Now let's see where are the developments, what happened. And I think this is, let's say, our 3 years result. If you look on the bottom, is the participants. We have 250 people in total. We have 230 on the side, rough numbers. So that means I think participation, okay, improves. So I think it's something is okay. So it's, but on 166 of 250, it's only you're missing 90. Big numbers. This is.
You know by department?
Oh yeah, I think you have. I will not show you this because I think it's a little bit too detailed. But I think the point is, you get it by department or sub-department if you want. You can have, and you get all the questions and all the rates. This is, let's say, a book. If you get at the end, because on 50 questions they will say you, okay, the procurement department has on this question give you so many points, not by names, but let's say as a department or sub-department, and you know exactly, okay, they're aligned or not aligned, or they have a problem or not a problem. You can see this, you can detect this. So you get a very sophisticated report on this. What you see there, overall, the development is good. What you see is
you completely fully.
This is what I want to. I show this for Carlos only. So look. On missions, it's perfect.
Mission is completely.
It's done. It's done. I think it's. You see, this works. So people and every 166 they participate there understood. They understood our mission. They have incorporated this, and they recognize that we have a mission, and that they know it, and they see this is helpful for them. Great. We have here. The top half is the external focus, the bottom half is the internal focus. Something has a little bit, let's say, more tangible and more intangible. If you look on this, our development on the bottom is not as good as mission. Let's say it this way. Yeah. So I think what we see is, I think the people don't see this, let's say, whatever core values, don't see agreement, don't see whatever collaboration in the way that we believe it should be. That means at the end we have some work there. So I think it's, and we have to identify where it's coming from. And if you see this is a little bit by department. And I think it's we can look. I think it's HR and communication is easy because these people, I think they live every day with this. So it's a very small group. That means I think it's okay. This is easier to grab and easier to manipulate. Let's say it this way. they understand this. Sales, these guys are highly committed because I think we hammer every day. Let's say whatever the same story, and they have to live the story and they have to represent our story outside to customers. So the point is, they fully understand our positioning. They fully understand, let's say, how we're doing this. So the good thing on this is these two. This is great. So that means everybody understands this. But then you come, let's say, whatever, to finance and to supply chain management. You have very weak on the internal focus. That means in these organizations, there's something which doesn't work properly. Yeah? And we have to say there's something that doesn't work properly. The same in finance. They understand the mission, but they say also, let's say, in the intentional ones, I think it's cooperation, working together. There's something that we have to work on. And the poorest stuff is operations. Let's say our full blue collar stuff is, they understand what we want, but they don't follow. Let's say they disagree in somehow. We have to say this is a moment of 2 weeks. You give them 2 weeks to make this vote. And in these 2 weeks or in these 3 weeks, something can happen. We made some penalties, for example, to operational people because they made not the right procedures, and we make some penalties. This gives a little bit noise in the, let's say, in the organization of operations, and some of this is payback to say, okay, now you come with this nice thing. I think it's you give my friend Juan a penalty because I think he has not worked well. Okay, you get a 1 instead of a 5. Okay, so perhaps it's not as bad as it is, but it gives you an indication. This is what I try to explain to my operations director. Say, listen, I don't care if this is now a number 20 or 30 or whatever. It shows the indication there is something wrong that you have to solve. You not transmit the right values for this, and you don't arrive to your people. Your speech is not right, the language is not right, the terminals that you use, because we are very technical. We are a lot of financials. I'm an engineer. I think it's my people the majority are engineers. That means they are very technical. They are very sophisticated, lean, Six Sigma, all these type of things. I'm pretty sure that my blue collar don't understand. They don't understand. For them, it's more what I have to do today, what I have to do with my tool, what I have to do with my catcher to clean this tool, what I have to do this. They have to be a little bit more tangible on this, much more. But my people are speaking. There are a lot of good managers, but I think there are perhaps some of them poor leaders. Let's say, these are not managers. Let's say this is managers and team leads. This is, let's say, our senior managers with all the team leads. If you look on the right stuff, that means I think the team leads have internalized a lot of management by mission. They have internalized a lot of things that we want to do. So we have to say the project works very well, let's say, to a certain level, and then we have a break. Yeah. I think beside of the number page, I can share this. But you look up operators. We should have 110
150
on blue collar. It's 150. Yeah, but I think this is not the complete. I think not the
No, it's not the complete.
This is only compounding and polymerization, I think, which is then 100. So it's perhaps only 45%. So it means 55 is a silent majority that says, I don't care what you. I'm not even go to the computer that we have put in the places to say to make this for 10 minutes. No, they not even do this. We offered papers. Okay, you can use it by paper, so you can make your notes, and we don't look on this, and then we put it in. Then somebody else will put it in the computer. They denied all this. It's a very ignoring majority. So I think that means. So I think this is what I showed my operation guys. They say, listen, I think this is what it is. This is a problem. The problem is not, let's say, whatever, that we have not the right messages out. We speak not the right language. We don't arrive to these people. So I think this is your problem. And this is what we have to tackle. And we have not to find a way to tackle this. Yeah. And I think it's, I show this. This is a UK-based company. They were nearly bankrupt in 2013. It's a portfolio company of Sun. I will not share the name. The point is, they made an engagement project, a strategy alignment and engagement project. I've talked to this guy, let's say, several times. Let's look on this, and we talk about participation of, he has 2,000 people. He has production, distribution, sales, and stores. So it's a B2C company. So they're producing all and sell it and distribute it and making complaints. So he has the whole spectrum of a sale process, all. He produce and sell. He was bankrupt, a very commoditized product, not chemicals. And you see, he made an engagement project, and I've seen his engagement campaigns. They were brilliant, I have to say. But he was capable to engage in 1 year 90% of his people. He was on a truck delivering things out. He was on the production with his senior team 1 day a week to produce. He make a lot of stuff only to show the people, guys, I'm doing exactly the same what you are doing. I understand your problems because I see it. Perhaps the tool is not right, the truck is not good. I have a lot of complaints, and what I have to receive is too heavy for you, and you cannot. He said, okay, we take all this serious, and he gets, with all these events, he gets, let's say, a lot of let's say, feedback, and people believe they take care about us. Especially also manufacturing, distribution, and whatever, where you have a lot of, let's say, disagreement in your process. And what you get is, at the end of the day, he made in 3 years 97% participation. And look on his chart. He's nearly full. At the end of the day, he made engagement and strategy alignment. If you look on his numbers, so he's even better than us from a KGA perspective, which I don't like, but I think yes, he's better than us. But he made a fantastic job. He made a fantastic job. So this is also what I try to. We should not allow that it says operations is always, let's say, whatever has a lack or whatever and will not follow, or because has not the possibility to follow and will always, let's say, a discount on these measures. I don't think so. It shows it's possible. This is for the whole company, and if you look on his operation side, it's a little bit lower. This is what we have to say. But at the end, but at the end, I think it shows again high performing culture, giving high performance returns. This is what it is, and I think this is, let's say, what everybody as a leader has to say. I think it's, if you have a good culture in the company, you will get good performance, and you get good performance, and you will get good results. This is how it works, and I think this is why we have to, let's say, this is why we have to engage more. I think this was my